It's happy hour again from Central City, New Orleans. Hello, I'm Grant Morris. We're at Casa Borrega, or strictly speaking, Casa Borrega. Everyone like to have a crack at that? Thank you. Borrega. Thank you. We're on Aretha Castle Haley Boulevard. I can say that, no problem. Aretha Castle Haley Boulevard in Central City, New Orleans, just up from Cafe Reconcile. Casa Borrega is not even open yet. It's a bar, it's a restaurant, and it's a live music venue. Go like them on Facebook, and you can follow them on Twitter as well. In the next 60 minutes, you're going to meet just 4 of the many thousands of fascinating people who live here in New Orleans. And you'll get to hear some live music as well. At the end of the show, you might conclude New Orleans is a great city where people love to talk, have fun, and enjoy great music. But you probably know that already, so let's get right on with doing nothing but enjoying the next 60 minutes of happy hour together. My special guest sitting around the table here at Casa Borrega are none other than Pauline Patterson, who is, hello Pauline.
Hello, how are you?
The co-owner of Finn McCool's Irish Pub. Finn McCool's holds the current title, I believe, voted by the readers of Gambit, of Best Neighborhood Bar in New Orleans.
Yes.
Can you believe that?
Truth.
Now that's unbelievable to be voted the best bar in New Orleans.
It's my neighborhood bar.
Is
I
it
got
really?
drunk there last night. Yeah.
Come on. Well, pity it wasn't tonight because you could get on the tab.
It could
I'm
be
sure
tonight.
after. Well,
Yeah.
okay, we're back on the
I
tab
got drunk
tonight.
there this morning.
Are you sober yet?
I just sobered up.
No,
And I'm
okay.
going there after this to get drunk.
Alex?
I've never been.
You've never been? Okay, wait till you hear all about it. After being knocked about by Hurricane Katrina, Finn McCool's was restored by a devoted collection of Guinness swiggers, and in the New Orleans rebuilding era, the bar became the de facto community centre of badly battered mid-city. Originally from Belfast, Ireland, Pauline has turned Finn McCool's into the soccer, rugby, and cricket TV headquarters of the South.
I'd say that's more my husband's.
That's your husband's
Yeah,
doing?
yeah.
You're not a sports person at all?
I love the Saints.
I love the... God, try that accent. I love the Saints. That's amazing. Wow. Well, your new place, I believe, probably has more of your fingerprints on it.
Yeah.
Trio, spelled Treo, on Tulane Avenue, is a no-smoking, no TV, cocktail lounge with movies and monthly art exhibitions.
Yeah, brilliant.
That sounds way too sophisticated.
Yeah, that's my end.
That's all right. So
Whenever I'm sober.
you're the Irish sophisticate whenever you're sober. Charles Chamberlain sitting across the table as well. Charles is the president of Historia, a New Orleans-based business which provides professional history consulting and museum services. That doesn't sound too exciting. He's also a tour guide
I'm falling asleep.
with his own tour company called Rock and NOLA, which is a brilliant title. I can't believe no one's ever thought of that before.
Who knew, right?
Rock and NOLA. Mm-hmm. How drunk were you when you came up with that?
Very sober, unfortunately.
Very sober.
Yes.
Well, we can change that in a minute. Rock and NOLA offers New Orleans music heritage tours. Extremely overqualified for a tour guide and a guest on this show, Charles received his PhD in U.S. history from Tulane University. Holy crap. You're a doctor.
Yes, sir.
Dr. Chamberlain.
Yes.
All
Don't
right.
call me Doc, though.
That changes everything. All right. Charles was the museum historian at the Louisiana State Museum for 10 years. My goodness. He's also the author of the critically acclaimed and popular book, Victory at Home, Race and Manpower in the American South During World War II. And he's written numerous articles on the history of jazz and Gulf Coast culture. It's a sort of oxymoron, right?
I guess there's culture here somewhere.
Oh, you found it. Maybe you can tell us what that is as we go on. Charles is also a guitar player in the new Leviathan Oriental Foxtrot Orchestra.
Nice.
Come
Got
on.
it, yeah.
Do you wear like a little sailor outfit?
Yes, unfortunately, we do. We're not wearing the tails, yeah.
Do you have your little sailor outfit in the bag here? Because we could.
No, I've been trying to get the uniform changed to wear something more pirate-oriented.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
Pirates are very current.
Yeah.
Somebody said something. They sent me a message on Facebook or something to mention something about pirates to you, Alex. Something about-
I lead a sea shanty band.
Right. But something to do with pirates with a Y. Pyrates. I wish
Yeah, I don't know. There's,
I wish I had
It's the
there's
pirate
these-
man.
any
there's these
memory
peop-
at
There's
all
these pirate people out there, and there's a strange subculture,
of pirate people.
pirate people.
Yeah.
People dress up as pirates. They have birds on their
The
shoulders,
wenches
and
and stuff.
And they have that sort of-
flagons and wenches.
What
and
kind of accent do
you
they
know,
think they've got, these pirate people that walk around with that? "Arr"?
They like to. I don't know. I don't get it.
I don't get
they have
that either.
Conventions.
There's the National Speak Like a Pirate
There's-
Day.
yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
there
Remember?
is. Speak
Yeah.
like a pirate day. Anyway, listen, the voice you're listening to is that of Alex McMurray, who's a singer, songwriter, and has been a New Orleans hipster since before being a New Orleans hipster was hip. That's so true. In the 1990s, Alex's band Royal Fingerball was about 20 years ahead of its time. Since then, Alex has stayed ahead of the curve with bands like the Valparaiso Men's Chorus, which sings sea shanties.
That's right.
Try reading that sometime. It sings sea shanties. And also, is it 007 or 007?
You know, either way, I think we prefer 007.
007 is a supergroup that plays Jamaican pop. Alex McMurray has a string of impressive albums to his credit, including his solo Banjaxed, and super great music for modern lovers and freaks for industry with his band Tin Men. He can be seen playing live in New Orleans and many other spots around the country and the world with Tin Men, Happy Talk Band, Debbie Davis, the Shatsy Band, Paul Sanchez's Rolling Roadshow, and the Geraniums. Did I miss anything out?
I think you left out the Jackals.
I did.
Did you? Is the Geraniums in there?
Yeah, Geraniums I said. The Jackals I don't even know
I don't
anything
even
about
know.
them.
I'm just in one band today, I think.
Just
Yeah,
one
at
a day.
time.
You're on,
Yeah.
have you ever done more than one in a day?
Yeah.
Frequently, by the sound.
Yeah.
That must be confusing or not?
Well, you can't hit a moving target, That's my philosophy.
Okay, Alex's latest album's Avocado Woo Woo with the Tin Men, and his new solo record, I Will Never Be Alone in This Land, are out now and available where all good downloads are sold, I assume, are they? And in record stores, if you like.
Record
enough to have a
stores?
record store
Yeah,
in your town.
the new Tin Men record is not on the interweb yet.
It's not?
No, we have some cover tunes on the record, which, as Andrew could probably attest, it's an onerous process to clear
Yeah.
these things so that you can sell them online. We're
Yeah.
waiting for some administrative.
Oh, that must be a pain in the
foolhardiness
ass. So
to
people can hold
arrive.
up your record because you got to pay them if you cover their song.
Yeah,
Somehow.
yeah. And which is only right.
What can
but
you? Yeah. Why not?
Why not?
Yeah. But
Otherwise,
somehow it's got to be organized.
It's larceny. Otherwise,
Pirates. The Andrew that Alex was referring to is Andrew Duhon. My co-host is sitting over here to my right. Andrew's record, The Moorings, is out and rolling around the world along with you. Where have you been since we saw you last?
Just California again. Went back to Cali.
What happened here? Now, our producer, Graham DePonte, sends me a photo, texts me a photo of you and her. You and she? What is it, Charles? You're the PhD here. You and she or you and her?
Him and her.
Him and her. Of him and her, his and hers, at a wedding or something?
Yeah, I played that wedding and she was at it.
Wow. That's great.
Isn't that funny?
Yeah, that is amazing.
In Newport Beach, California.
That's where it was.
Yeah.
So you got hired from here to go out to Newport Beach and play a wedding that our producer was invited to, and you guys didn't know either of you were going.
Yeah, the couple's from here, but the bride grew up in Newport Beach, so they did it out there. Little destination deal.
I mean, I don't know if you, Alex, you probably know Andrew's music pretty well. Would you hire him for your wedding?
Oof.
What a strange choice.
Yeah, right. I totally agree. And
Well,
when
what's
I
up
get,
with
you get a wedding that says, I'm sorry, you get an email that says we want you to play a wedding. It makes me cringe and think that I'm probably gonna have to learn a lot of tunes for this. And then they said, no, we don't want you to play Brown Eyed Girl. We want you to play your stuff. And I said, sure.
Wow. That's interesting. I mean, your stuff is, there are some happy songs, a couple.
A couple,
sneaked in
but
by
they
accident.
wanted more than a 5-minute set, so.
So you did the whole. Were they dancing? Were they dancing to it?
Well, I do have a diversified portfolio. I'm not playing the songs that you're
okay, you're not
of.
doing the folk
No,
stuff.
I'm playing, some cover old blues songs and stuff,
okay.
and just picking it up a bit.
Okay, I'm thinking you're out there doing all these songs about, lost love and.
Right, no.
So people were killing
At a
themselves.
wedding.
At a wedding, yeah. At a
People
wedding.
were killing themselves in the songs, but even if you keep that up tempo, it's still cool.
Yeah.
Now, Pauline, you've stayed married a long time,
Yeah.
and you work with your husband every day.
Yeah, we've been together since we were 17, and we got.
So it's 3 years now.
We met when we met in 1984, and we got married in 1991. I need a calculator to work it
I
out.
can't
think
even
it's
understand.
29
I can't
years.
even understand what you're saying. I'm just listening to the accent.
Yeah, we've been together 29 years.
29 years. And
Yeah.
how long have you been in the United States?
23. We came in 1990. July
And what was
1990.
your accent like before you got here?
A lot quicker. I slowed down a lot because I got sick of people going, what? What?
Yeah.
When I go home, they'll go, oh, listen to the Yank. Despite the fact that I live in New Orleans.
Right.
I'm going, no, they don't want to hear yanking.
So when you go back to Ireland, they think you have an American accent.
Well,
now.
they think I've slowed down. Like, I don't say gas, I say petrol, and I still say tomato. I don't say tomato. But I'm slower. Like, I have slowed my accent down. But whenever I come back from Ireland, people go, oh, I didn't know you speak Irish as well. It's just I'm speaking English really fast. Again.
So what part? You're from Belfast,
I'm
which
from
is
Belfast.
that's where all the troubles were.
Yeah, we grew up during the Troubles, and I have 4 sisters. There's 5 girls, and because we all grew up in the Troubles, basically our parents encouraged us to leave. So at one stage there was no daughters at home. Currently, I have a sister in California, a sister in Wales. I'm lucky enough to have one sister here, And just recently, one of my sisters moved from England back to Ireland to be near her parents.
Well, it's good for travelling. It
Yeah.
saves getting a hotel.
Yeah.
That's the good news. You got sisters.
I don't know.
all
Maybe that might have been their alternate. Their
This is
ulterior
probably
motive.
a stupid question, but why would someone have kids? And that, if you don't want them to live there, and they're born into a war, and then all you do is bring them up to leave.
Yeah.
What really? Tell me the truth.
My mum was
Catholic,
always
I guess.
Yeah, I'm Catholic.
Well, that
my
might-
mum was
that's fine.
always considered suing the government, for parental abandonment. Yeah, it's very sad for whenever we're all leaving. She'll say, "I'll curse the day I told you to leave." I was just crying. But we try and get back often.
How
to
often would
visit.
you go back?
We try and go back at least once a year.
How much is a ticket?
Well, whenever we first came here, it was like around $500, but during peak
That was
season,
1980.
yeah,
1990.
yeah.
Right.
But during peak season, it'll be anywhere up to $1,200, but you can get them for around $700. But again, we don't have to pay hotel fees when we go
Once you're
home.
there, I guess you're there, yeah, right.
Yeah, the drink's expensive. That's
What's
why
it
you drink
like?
at home.
What's it like back in Belfast now that there's nobody blowing up the pubs?
The peace agreement, the Good Friday peace agreement was signed, and it was fantastic, and it was really good for a good 8 to 10 years. But it's, whenever you have hoodlums on the street, like you have in New Orleans, people will try and bring things back. And
I like how you look at Charles when you.
he's
What?
the historian.
Yeah, I thought he's the only one who's got any class here, really.
You will have people trying to bring some trouble back. The
Still.
good thing. Yeah, well, the thing is, the police force was run by the English whenever we were growing up, and they've opened them up and they've changed it from the police force to the PSNI, which is the Police Service of Northern Ireland, I think, and they've opened it up to Catholics. So when the Catholics joined the police force, because if you're not part of the solution, you're part of the problem, that's why they would join, then the INLA, the splinter group to the IRA, they then said, well, your Catholics in the police force are traitors, so then they started to attack them.
Wow.
So it's just...
It's like Monty Python.
Yeah, it really is. It's stupid.
It's hard to follow that, actually.
Yeah.
But before, when people were blowing up the pubs,
Yeah.
there were no Catholics in the police force.
No,
But
no.
the police were British
Yeah.
from England.
Well, they were
But
they were
they're so-
England. They were unionists. They were Irish, but they wanted union with England. So
Okay.
even though they considered themselves English,
Going down a
even
bad
though-
road now,
Yeah,
I can see this. But,
they considered themselves English, not Irish.
and the people in Ireland who were fighting each other, I suppose we're supposed to know this. Well, you're a historian, Charles. It was Catholic versus Protestant. That was what the two things, was it British versus Irish?
Well, it's very simplified to say Catholic versus Protestant, but those are religions, and there's no
Well, that's-
religion to fighting. So it was unionist versus nationalist. Then nationalist wanted Ireland to be a nation, and the unionists wanted union with England. The unionists were in a minority, and they figured, well, they are in a majority if they stay united with England, so they would have more control and power. So it's all about who controls stuff.
Why would
Nothing to do with God.
Why would they have wanted to be united with England? I mean, this is a ridiculous conversation to have. Sitting around. You left, and what difference does it make because it's all over?
They
But why
wanted
did
to-
they want that?
Well, because they would be part of the majority. Whenever in actuality in the island they were the minority.
Right. But most of us are talking about secession all the time. Everyone wants to be
Yeah.
not a part of a union. They want to be, independent.
Yeah.
Maybe it's
well,
just-
yeah. I mean, a lot of people feel that the island of Ireland is a country all to itself, but the England governs 6 counties. Did govern 6 counties at the north.
Do you ever think about someone blowing up Finn McCool's?
Yeah, for their tab.
Has that ever crossed your mind?
It looked like it had been blown up after Katrina, I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
And whenever we bought it in 2002, and it wasn't a very nice bar then, and we completely gutted it. So then whenever the hurricane hit in 2005 and we had to re-gut it, I just
Horrible.
didn't think I would have the energy to
right.
do it again. So
But you
no,
did.
I don't want anyone
Glad
to ever
you
blow
did
it up.
Really glad you did it again.
Yeah,
Love
it was
that
it
spot.
was a joint effort by the community, that's for sure.
It was. It really is a community.
Yeah.
It is a community pub.
It really is. Yeah.
Charles, where do you live?
Uptown, near Pauline Magazine.
So you've never been to Finn McCool?
I have, yeah. I love Finn McCool's.
Oh, I thought you said you didn't go there.
No, that was Alex, actually.
Oh, Alex, I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
I was lying.
You must have played there at some point with somebody.
I'm not sure if I
I've
played
seen
there.
him.
Sometime you've seen him playing there. You paid him.
No, I've seen him in there.
I've got I'm good friends with Ian McNulty.
Yeah, that's why I've seen you in there.
Yes, Ian McNulty is one of the
a-
regulars down
Yeah.
there. He
He wrote his
he's
first
like
book, Season of Night.
He's like a luminary, over there.
Yeah, he's a great writer and he's a good broadcaster as well.
Yeah, he's our ambassador. He's our St. Patrick, our Irish first footer. He does a lot of
First footer.
stuff. Yeah,
What does that mean?
the first footer on New Year's Day, or New Year's Eve, New Year's Day, the very first person across your door has to be a dark-haired man carrying a lump of coal. That'll bring you luck for the rest of the
Whoa.
year. So he always.
Okay, well now we're learning.
Why don't they
Hitting
tell
your
you
heart.
these things?
Yeah.
We always hand out a lucky lump of coal. Well, Ian does, dressed in all black with a hat.
Well, that's particularly
Nice.
Irish because doesn't a lump of coal in the Christmas stocking mean that you've been to bed?
Yeah, they use that same lump of coal.
Just
You're not using that,
recycled.
are you?
Recycled the lump.
I think that some good charcoal briquettes would actually be a pretty decent gift, if you're a barbecuing person.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
completely.
Yeah.
Even
They're
coal.
expensive
Yeah.
sometimes. Yeah.
It would. Absolutely.
So an odor
Hey.
absorber as well.
Okay.
So many uses.
Alex, who are you playing with tonight?
I'm playing. I got a solo thing at Saturn Bar on Thursdays, most Thursdays. But tonight I'm going to be joined by a wonderful drummer named Dave Capello. I don't know if you know Dave. He's kind of like he travels in the more of the experimental jazz circles. Very interesting player.
And I heard that just a guitar, you and a drummer.
Yeah,
Well, that's an interesting idea.
yeah, should be fun.
What
Yeah.
time's that?
10 o'clock. So we'll go on about 10:30.
And is Royal Fingerball getting back together? Is that,
Actually,
is that
no,
a
the
rumor?
Royal
It's a
Fingerball
comedy show.
Yeah.
was I basically play with that band still. It's the same guys.
Right.
But we just don't call it that. It's kind of a stupid name, So we're trying to come up with a different name that's not as stupid. But for right now, we just call it the Alex McMurray Band.
That sounds classy.
Do it.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
pretty.
yeah. I like that actually. Don't you?
Pretty boring. But
What's wrong with
Gets
Royal
the point.
Fingerball? Why is it stupid?
I don't know. I mean, it was. I got tired of explaining what it meant, or trying to dodge that question.
People ask that super damn question all the time.
Yeah.
What does it mean, and what are your influences?
Yeah. Well,
You could shoot everyone who says that. I think.
Billy Gibbons had a great line for that. People would ask him what ZZ Top meant, and he would say, "You'll never get me drunk enough to tell you,"
Challenge,
and
etc.
because people would try.
Yeah, and then buy him a drink.
Yeah.
And so I finally met Billy Gibbons a few years ago, and I went up to him and I said, "Hey, man, you're Billy Gibbons." He said, "Yeah." I said, "Hey, man, I use your line all the time." He says, "What line?" I said, "When somebody asks you what ZZ Top means, you say, 'You'll never get me drunk enough to tell you.'" And he says to me, "It works, doesn't it?" Anyway.
It does, I bet.
great.
How many drinks have you been bought over the years, would you say? In the thousands?
In the thousands, I suppose. I don't know. There's,
How many must he have been bought?
what's that?
How many he's been bought over the years?
Billy Gibbons?
Millions.
I'm
A
sure
mil- yeah.
many millions.
How did you get to meet him? Where were you playing?
The Fingerball opened up for Jimmy Vaughn at the House of Blues a while back, and
Yeah.
he was there, I guess, just hanging out with Jimmy Vaughn.
Well, that's pretty cool.
He's a little guy.
Is he really?
Yeah, he's just a wee little guy.
Wow,
He's skinny.
You don't get that impression.
In the videos, I guess they blow him up
Yeah.
to like this
Cameras
this,
here.
from underneath.
yeah, like shot from underneath, and they they get the big beers and they're
Yeah.
big,
They
massive
look
guys.
huge,
They
those
look
guys.
huge. No, they're tiny.
How funny.
Yeah,
Well, that's crazy.
yeah,
Hey, you want to play something?
yeah, sure.
Okay, what are you thinking of playing? Something
I don't
off
know.
the new album or something new altogether?
I could do something from let me see, from my new record.
Okay.
And since it's kind of a Latin themed place, this one's kind of got a Latin sort of vibe. And it's about some people from Illinois. He was a flunky from St. John's Spit. He told himself that he was through with it. So tired of running and bumming around, he thought he'd take it to another town. She was a chippy from Chicago, the only place she'd ever seen before. She does her drinking from a gerbil jar. She keeps beneath the seat of the car. She liked to hit it from the get-go. She liked to hit it from the get-go. Old Cassandra and Polly Ann live together on their father's land. Run off the neighbors one by one, shoot out the stars and sleep in the sun. You know in life there ain't no accidents, and Flunky's creeping up along the fence. Flunky, he crossed Cassandra, so he's never gonna flunk no more. He's got to hit it from the get-go. He's got to hit it from the get-go. He's got to hit it, yeah. There ain't no reason why you got to do before you die. You got to hit it from the get-go. Roll the credits and fade to black. Flunky never gets his dollar back. He's gonna settle down in Kankakee every evening watching busted TV. And there's a message coming from the screen. You got to listen to the in-between. Flunky finishes all of his chores to get to what's beneath the floor. He's got to hit it from the get-go. He's got to hit it from the get-go. He's got to hit it from the get-go. Get-go, baby. Get-go, get-go, baby. Ooh. He's got to hit it from the get-go. Whoa, whoa. Ooh.
Yeah. Thank you. Alex McMurray.
Yes, indeed.
One of these guys who makes it look so easy. Doesn't it look easy? You just like pick up a guitar and play it like nothing to it.
I've been practicing all day.
It's paying off. What would you do if you couldn't do that? What did you set out to do when you first moved to New Orleans?
Well, I came here to go to Tulane, and I did that, and I majored in English and philosophy, double majored, otherwise known as dishwashing and drying. So I did that when I got out of school. I would wash dishes in restaurants and substitute taught in public schools, dug ditches, made pizza, that kind of thing. And
you see why rock and roll was attractive.
Yeah, it's
after that.
Yeah. The ditch digging job was great because it was actually underneath a house. I was digging ditches in a crawl space underneath a house. And plus, the best part was like I had to commute to Bay St. Louis to do it. And
that's a nice job.
It was 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. for $6 an hour underneath the house.
Oh, Lord
that was the height of my glory.
Yeah. Did you know you could sing at that point?
I was trying to do it. I mean, I was trying to work as a musician, but it was not working out. I mean, money-wise.
Well, that's before you realized you had to have 10 bands. When you're just working by yourself then.
Yeah.
So how did you start? How did you make the transition from digging ditches to actually being successful?
Well, I mean, I bribed the right people. And went down to City Hall and got the right permits. Apparently, I didn't have all the paperwork wasn't in order, so so the money wasn't coming through. I don't know. I just kept at it.
Was there a moment? Was there a moment where you thought, "Hey, people are listening"?
I guess one moment was like when I had a gig on Bourbon Street playing with like these older fellas doing like R&B in the '90s, and I finally was able to, open up a bank account. I was like taking all my money and like would put it in a drawer, and I'd like send it to my dad in New Jersey, and have him put it in the bank for me. And I was like, wait, I could probably just do this myself. That was I was like, okay, I can go down and open up my own bank account. So
that was the moment.
That was probably around '95.
That was a few years of work. Charles, what made you not want to be a professional guitar player if you're good enough to play in the Foxtrot Orchestra?
Oh, well, it's a challenge out there. I mean, it takes a lot of hard work. And actually, when I first moved here, I messed around and sat in with a bunch of people, Jonathan Freelick and Davis and, all those guys.
Where'd you move from?
From Houston. And actually, I was from West Texas at the time, but I moved here to go to Tulane. And so I wanted to concentrate on my schooling at the time and kind of put music on the back burner. But then once everything got settled with that, I decided to take it back up.
Were you guys at Tulane at the same time?
Early 90s.
I graduated in '91.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. And
Well,
did
I
you
was there for that.
you stayed there and did a PhD there? So
Yeah, I sure did. Yep.
What were
What'd you
you
guys
thinking?
pledge?
What were you thinking doing a PhD?
Oh gosh.
What was the plan?
I was thinking there was no plan really. You know, it was kind of like an iron in the fire that heated up. And then I was always interested in music history. That's why I came to Tulane originally. And so I started working at the Hogan Jazz Archive.
Uh-huh.
And so that's just such a rich treasure trove of historic materials that it just, blew my mind. And so I just wanted to, make that come to life for people. So, I was a music and history double major, talk about double majors. And so I actually decided to kind of combine those career-wise. And,
But you already had a job at the Jazz Archive, which is an
Yeah.
amazing resource. I mean, there's
It
just
is,
so
yeah.
much stuff up there.
Right.
Anything you're looking for, basically, they have it. If they
Mhm.
can, and they can pretty much always find it.
Yeah, no, I think it's one of the
Strangely,
it's one of the coolest archives anywhere.
Yeah, and then I heard that you were offered the job at the Jazz and Heritage Foundation
I was, yeah.
as the archivist, and you turned that
was.
down.
Yeah, that was back when it didn't pay very much. So Rachel Lyons worked her magic and got decent pay out of that. But back then, it wasn't worth it for me to switch jobs, honestly.
So you were the historian at where?
Louisiana State Museum.
The Louisiana State
Yeah,
Museum.
that's the system.
Okay, I'm going to go around the table and just see. You've lived here since we're 1990?
1990.
You've been here since before that, right, Alex?
87.
87. Andrew, you've been here for most of your
Forever.
life. You were born here.
28, yeah.
Where's the Louisiana State Museum? Anybody can answer that.
Louisiana State Museum.
Yeah, where is it?
That's
I knew you were going to ask that.
LSU,
I don't know.
You
I
don't know, right? You don't know,
LSU
Pauline.
you're talking about?
Do you know where it is?
But you're talking about LSU?
I'm talking about Louisiana State Museum, not
Oh,
university.
Oh, I thought you. I was
No,
gonna
he's
say, I
not
know
the
where
historian
the-
at the university, are you? I didn't get that wrong, did I? You said
That would be
Louisiana
nice,
State
but,
Museum.
Wait a second. No.
Hang
Louisiana
on.
State Museum.
Yes.
Everyone knows it, but
nobody-
it's just not called that by most people.
It's not the
What's it
Cabildo,
called?
is
Yeah, Cabildo.
It
Yeah,
is.
that's
Okay.
that's one of
Cabildo.
9. Yeah.
Ah, okay.
So
it's in Jackson Square.
Well, it's 9 properties across the state. It's like the Smithsonian of Louisiana with
Okay.
multiple properties.
So we could have been in any of these 9 buildings, any of us, at any time. Okay, where
Yeah.
are they?
Well, there's 5 in the French Quarter. Cabildo is the best known. Everyone takes their 8th grade field trip there, and most people have not gone back since the 8th grade. So, if you're local.
Where are the other buildings?
Well, the Presbyteers on the other side of the cathedral.
Yeah.
The Old U.S. Mint is number 3.
Oh, I've been in that one. For
Yeah.
sure. Have you
People-
guys been in that one?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And, boy, the auditorium at the Old U.S. Mint is amazing for concerts now. So I
Yeah,
encourage
it's
everyone to go
gorgeous.
check that
Yeah,
out.
that's cool.
And then Madame John's Legacy, which is one of the oldest colonial residential buildings in the French Quarter.
Madam John's Legacy.
Never
It's on
heard of it.
domain between Charters
that?
and
Andrew's
and Royal.
nodding.
A buddy of
Yes.
mine used to live right next door, and we always wondered why the carriage would stop next door. And then somebody told him, "Yeah, you live next to one of the coolest buildings in the quarter."
Yeah, it is. It is one of the coolest buildings in the quarter. It's
What's in it?
It's an old colonial era residence that is really the only representation of the West Indies style architecture that existed in the French Quarter before the Great Fires of 1788 and 1794 that destroyed most of the French Quarter.
We were just talking about those fires the other day, right? 1788 and
Sure,
1790.
we were, yeah.
I didn't know anything about that either.
I just
That-
want Alex to play in a minor key, and you just keep talking about fires and stuff.
Yeah, let's switch back out, Alex.
Is that when Storyville burnt down?
No, Storyville was
There's
torn
another
down
fire.
in the
It was
late
torn
30s.
down.
Yeah.
Okay, so there was two giant fires in the French Quarter.
It's one
Yes.
by the convent, wasn't it?
Well, the convent. The story is the Ursuline convent, which is the oldest building in the Lower Mississippi Valley, was saved because, of course, the Ursuline nuns prayed so hard and so successfully that the fire.
Does that work?
Yeah, it does.
Historically,
Yeah.
as a historian.
Yes, absolutely. All right. If you want something on your side, go to the Ursuline nuns and
Okay.
have them pray for you. So.
And are they still there on Ursuline?
Yeah,
Is that still
absolutely.
a convent?
Yes.
That's still a convent.
Well, no, it's not officially the convent, but it's in an administrative building, kind of a historic administrative building. So.
Okay. So what? Okay, so there's 2 subjects here. One is that we can get the nuns to pray for us, and something in the real world will happen, like fire will go out, or could we get wealthy?
Absolutely. Just these
These are
get to know an
Catholics,
Ursuline
right?
nun.
Get to the convent.
I used to. Do you go to church every
Yeah.
Sunday, Pauline?
I go to Our Lady of Guadalupe
Mm-hmm.
on North Rampart.
Oh, yeah.
Father
Okay.
Tony, he's brilliant. If you ever have visitors in town, it's a fantastic jazz band at 9:30 Mass. It's
9:30
brilliant.
a.m.
9:30 a.m.
There's
Mass.
jazz music.
Is that Tony?
Brilliant.
2 9:30s?
That's
The 9:30 at
What
there's a
kind of-
9:30 in the a.m. and a
Okay,
9:30
all
in the
right. I
p.m.
didn't know.
There's a different church at the 9:30 p.m.
what kind of a jazz musician is up at 9:30 in the morning and sounding good? Still up, I
Brilliant.
guess.
They're still up,
Still
exactly.
up,
Yeah.
yeah, okay.
They're
Where,
raging from the
where
night
on Rampart? is this?
Opposite by the police station, Our
Okay.
Lady of Guadalupe. It's St. Jude's. church.
All right.
Yeah. It's,
So what time do you close down the bar at Finn McCool's on a Saturday
well,
night?
we don't actually have to close, but generally Friday night and Saturday night we stay open till around 5
a.m.
Yeah, but
Are
generally.
you there then?
No, not always. At the start we were there a lot, but no, we're more morning people. But because most of the soccer is showing in the morning, so sometimes we show it live.
Right.
So we're up at 6 a.m. So sometimes the bar opens at 6. So the nighttime bartender with customers will be leaving as the daytime bartender, and the soccer supporters come in.
I think that's a lot of people's impression of that's what New Orleans is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
Absolutely.
That's why we live here.
A
The bars
revolving
don't
door at
close.
the
They don't
bar.
close.
We drink in shifts.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, take your drunks with you.
Why do bars have to close in other places? Like in California, they close at 2 a.m. What is the logic behind that?
I think it must be something to do with taxation.
No, it's
No, they're just uptight.
That's what it is?
They feel that you should be home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's time to go home.
Have you
go
ever been to
home bed.
Boston? I mean, they don't
1 o'clock.
allow VIP setups. There's no happy hour. I mean, they have all these list of rules about.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah,
They just can't handle it like we can.
they can't.
What's
Yeah,
this
hack
thing?
it.
There's closing times in Ireland as well.
Yeah.
And there's the secret knock, like in all the rural
Really?
pubs.
You can get in
Ireland.
after
Yeah, as long
hours.
as you know the secret knock. You're just not allowed to leave until
Oh,
daylight.
right. Yeah,
The cops know the secret knock too.
That's a good way of doing it. Hey, Andrew, you want to play us something today?
yeah. Sure. I'd have to go grab a guitar, see if I
Okay.
want to talk about yourself. But I have a quick question. When are you guys going to be recognized for having the best burger in town? Because you do.
It is a brilliant burger. It really
Unbelievable.
Is, with the
And-
fried egg and the bacon
Yeah,
on top.
come on.
It's delicious.
Unbelievable.
It's got fried egg and bacon.
Yeah.
And I must admit, I like y'all's boudin dishes too, because
Yeah.
not many people know how to fix boudin in this town.
Yeah, Lee from Buku Barbecue does an amazing stuffed boudin pistolette.
Exactly.
It's amazing. And then he also does a boudin top burger. It's great.
Incredible.
And he does boudin egg rolls. So he gets a.
Oh,
he has,
yeah.
He has 2 different types of egg rolls. He does a barbecue pulled pork with a cilantro blue cheese, stuffed spring roll. But he also does a boudin stuffed spring roll too, with like a really nice ginger peach dipping sauce.
Yeah.
It's really, really nice.
No,
Hungry.
y'all have great food. I love Finn McCool's. The food is worth it.
None of
Yeah.
it's Irish, though.
Well, he does fish and chips. And the egg and the bacon on the burger, that's Irish.
It is. The fried egg and bacon.
It's sort of like a bacon breakfast burger.
It's funny that the hamburger's made its way all around the world.
Yeah.
Where that comes from the United States of America. I happen to know that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I heard some guy who owns that place on Ferret Street, the hamburger place, Company Burger.
Company burger.
Company burger,
I
yeah.
haven't been there yet.
I heard him tell a whole story about how the cheeseburger is the pinnacle of achievement of the American nation, of history.
That's right.
And he was serious as well.
Yeah, Adam.
Yeah.
Adam Biederman.
Yeah, he promotes that.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, actually.
It is
he's,
cool.
He's by the time he's finished, you think like, wow, it's better than like NASA.
Still going on anyway.
Yeah, well, that's true. Good point. You can still get a cheeseburger. Okay, Andrew, what are you playing?
Something that will be finished tomorrow.
Oh, cool.
Thank
Okay, a new song.
Yeah. Goes like this. Doesn't go like this. Well, that old man, he fixed old cars. As long as I remember, fender to fender, full engine overhaul. When I was old enough to do it, he rode me under his old Buick. Say these old gals only so much can go wrong. Should take you as far as a day is long. But they don't make them like they used to. Ain't no soul and nothing brand new. Till she broken down and fixed it, it ain't yours. Broken gear, broken heart. Wanna keep it together, gotta learn how to take it apart. You can weather any weather, yeah, you ride around together. Oh, my best girl around forever in an old Skylark. But they don't make them like they used to anymore. Yeah, the man down at the wood shop, he's a modern day Geppetto. Instead of boys, he fixes cellos and my beat-up old guitar. And he knows me when I walk in, and we always get to talking about the way things were and now the way they are. He says he's doing one thing right, to play this old guitar. 'Cause they don't make them like they used to. Ain't no soul or nothing brand new. Till she breaks down and you fix it, it ain't yours. Broken strings, broken heart. Wanna keep it together, can't be afraid to take it apart. You gotta learn to weather the weather. Yeah, you ride around together. My best girl and I forever, and an old guitar. They don't make them like they used to anymore. Probably put a bridge there and then another chorus, but yeah.
That's excellent.
Thanks.
If you want to keep it together, you have to learn to take it apart.
Right.
That's a good lyric.
Thanks.
Did you agree?
Yep.
Yeah.
Nice.
Thanks. Well,
Happy when you
prompted
thought of that,
I
right?
sell a lot of trucks with that song.
It's not a bad idea.
Not the modern ones, though.
Yeah, you get an endorsement from about you could
Peterbilt or
sell it.
something. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, no, you could see that like that old nostalgic, those Fords or something. You know, they used to make all those years ago, or Chevys. They're always playing on that nostalgic image of the
I
truck.
think Bob Seger's Like a Rock's got it cornered.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Well,
know.
Bailey, they always think of something. What about that guy? Is it Toby Keith?
right.
He did all those country music truck commercials, right?
Is that
him?
the avenue I have to go to make a buck after
Yeah.
Toby Keith?
Approach
I think Alex
Buick
is on
about
it.
the Skylark. Bring the Skylark
Yeah.
back.
Totally. Yeah.
Alex, how would you go about selling that?
I don't know. I wish I knew.
If only we could figure that out. We'd all be
This
in
is
the
the the big question.
dilemma.
How do we get in touch with Chevy?
How do they find you, these people?
I don't know. I've been screaming their name out in the night for years, and they get their windows sealed up. They're just ignoring me.
Do you have a manager?
You're looking at them. Yeah.
Does that help? I mean, is that the key to the whole thing? Is getting
I don't
people?
know. I mean, you have a manager. You need to be making money for the manager to be interested in dealing with you.
Is that
So
how
they
it works? They don't find someone who's talented and
Well, I
get
don't
them
know.
to make
Maybe
money?
like in the movies or something.
That's what I'm wondering.
That-
Yeah.
The whole game of how does it work and how do you make a buck? It undermines the how do you write a better song part, and it's a good time to mention that. I think Alex is probably one of my favorite songwriters in town for sure, and
Amazing.
like I can count my favorite songwriters in town on one hand, even if I was a butcher or a nearsighted,
Worked in a sawmill.
Yeah. So I mean, whether or not you're hugely successful, it hardly matters. You're making records, like records of yourself, and that stuff lasts. So who cares,
And no, it's not a measure of how great you are as to how wealthy you are, or how good you are, how wealthy you are, or anything is measured by how wealthy you are. But it would be nice.
But it would be nice, yeah.
to be comfortable,
Yeah,
to be super talented
comfort,
and comfortable.
I've heard is nice.
It is such a shame that the talent here isn't recognised all over the world. I mean, we came here in 1990, and everyone goes, "Oh, you stayed because of Mardi Gras," and I went, "No, I stayed because of Jazz Fest. The music in this city is amazing." And
Stayed despite Mardi Gras.
yeah, I stayed despite Mardi
Right.
Gras.
Well, you tried to move to New York at one point, Alex.
I did, yeah. I went up there to be with my then girlfriend, now wife, and to give it a shot, to see if I could make it there.
But I read something interesting that you said about moving to New York, which was that people in New York don't go out to hear a band unless there's someone in it they know.
Well, it's not you're competing with the Knicks, and Broadway and stuff like that. So it's not a great town for. You could go hear the greatest stuff in the world on any given night, the best cinema, the best dance, art, whatever.
What's the
And
line?
then there's like my stupid little band. You can come,
What's the line in your tune about you can make it if you can't make it in? Oh, sorry, if you can make it in New York, you can make it anywhere. But there was a New Orleans.
Yeah, we're
slant.
trying to start a new slogan for New Orleans. It's on the song on the new Tin Man record called. We're gonna have billboards. New Orleans. If you can't make it here, don't leave. So
You could get the city council.
we're
to
trying to
sponsor
get
that.
It's a tourism.
New
trying to
Orleans
get
and
some
tourism.
momentum behind this. It's been
You know what?
tough.
That could be a T-shirt.
It would be a good T-shirt.
Yeah, that could be like merchandising. That's the key to the whole
Yeah,
thing.
it's the merchandising. I guess I need to. Why don't you be my manager?
Okay, well, I don't have much to do. I just do this an hour a week, and the rest of the week I'm pretty free.
Okay, well,
No problem. Hey, listen, I've got to tell you guys about a benefit that's going on. A benefit concert on Sunday, June the 9th at Heritage Park in Slidell, behind the Highway 11 train station. I think as many of us know where that is know where the Louisiana State Museum is, probably. But anyway, you can find it if you make the effort. There's live music all day from The Blend, Exit Plan, Chicken on the Bone, and Cowboy Mouth. And it's a benefit for a guy called John Passaro, who is an NOPD law officer and a lifelong Slidell, Louisiana resident, who was on duty on Saturday, February 23rd, when he answered a call to a disturbance at a New Orleans branch Dollar General store. And when he walked in there, he was ambushed by the suspect and shot multiple times, leaving him paralyzed from the chest down. So his friends and family have got together and organized this benefit, and we're helping him out by telling you about it. If you'd like to go and help out, it'll cost you $20 to get in. That money goes directly to John Passaro and his family to pay for his medical expenses and other expenses they incur. The gates open at 11 a.m. The music starts sometime after that. Tickets are available at all 3 Slidell branches of the Whitney Hancock Bank. There's tons of stuff to do for kids. There's a rock climbing wall for kids, and there's food and drink as well out there. If you'd like to help out or be a sponsor of this event, you could call Pat Huseman at this phone number, 985-290-3239, 290-3239. So that's a nice thing that people do here in New Orleans too. I guess
Yeah.
you guys play a lot of benefits.
It happens.
yeah.
Seems to be a lot of benefits going on.
Yeah, we had a big benefit at the bar for St. Baldrick's Day, and there was over 100 people shaved their heads.
I was wondering why you touched your head. I really was thinking, what the heck are you doing? St. Baldrick.
Yeah.
Is there actually a St. Baldrick?
It's an invented holiday by 2 New York Irish people who
Right.
one of their friends' kids was dying of cancer, or was going through cancer treatment, and had lost their hair because of chemo, and so they all joined together, 10 of them in the pub, decided to shave their head for charity.
People do that when they've had a few pints of Guinness.
Sign up for stuff. So it started like in 1995 or something like that.
In New York.
In New York, and it's become like a holiday. Like it's normally during the month of March, and therefore around St. Patrick's Day.
Okay.
So it's called St. Baldrick's Day. So Finn's did one just on the 23rd of March, and
So people sponsor each other.
yeah,
To get your
everybody
head shaved.
Everybody who wants to participate signs up, and they get donors. So Thomas Morstead, the Saints punter, he signed up and did it. He donated he had really long hair, like down to past his shoulders, and he donated it to Wigs for Kids, and he also got his head shaved, and we raised $130,000
Wow.
at Finn's. So yeah,
That's
so
impressive.
yeah, that just shows you the type of family that Finn's is. It's like they're just
Wealthy.
very willing to shave their heads and go out and raise money.
$130,000. Well, that's pretty serious. So you came here. It's you also went to university and are overqualified for being a bartender.
Yeah, I went to art college, and then I became an art teacher and an art therapist. And whenever I first came to New Orleans, I was teaching art, but it was barely enough to even pay my rent and everything.
Well, there's
So-
teaching, and then there's art, and then there's teaching art. That's right down the bottom of the.
Yeah, so
Hey, Sarah.
I was doing like festivals as well, because I'm a sculptor, so I was selling my stuff at festivals, but it still wasn't enough money. So I became a bartender at Mick's Irish Pub, and
Mix.
Mick's.
Where's that?
It's on Bienville Street.
Is it still there?
Yeah, it's still there. Yeah.
Oh, sorry, Alex.
No, I don't know that
I gotta
place.
take you out and drink.
Maybe that's why.
So we don't know where the Louisiana State Museum is, but we know where Mix Irish on Bienville. Okay.
So I was bartending there. I was bartending, and on one day a week that I was bartending, I was making more than I was for the whole year, practically. Well, the whole month in teaching.
I'm glad you amended that to a month, 'cause
Yeah. No, I mean,
that
like
would be better money than stripping.
It was 7 days a week, or 5 days a week teaching was
The same as
equivalent of
one night a week
Yeah,
bartending
bartending.
at Mix.
Yeah. So I was bartending, and then I became a private teacher. So I was teaching some of the people that came into mix. I was teaching their kids, and then somebody said you should open your own place, so we did.
What was your husband doing all this time?
He was bartending as well. He bartended. We both
So
bartended.
you moved from Belfast to New Orleans to be a bartender, for him to be a bartender.
Yeah.
Well, that's, you know.
We also bought property and fixed it up and sold it. So whenever we were able to buy Finn's, and it was in really dire conditions, at least we knew.
Was it
He
called
knew how
Finn
to swing a
McCool's
hammer.
then? Yeah.
No, it was actually. It's been a bar for over 100 years.
Right.
It's practically been an Irish bar for the majority of it, because it was Lloyd McKay owned it in the 40s, and we have photographs of the bar with him, the Lloyd McKay and his friend sitting outside the bar, and you can see the building across the street, and it's the exact same shape. It's in the same condition. I mean, the woodwork and everything is in the same condition. And then it became between the 40s, and it became the Zip, and then Maple Zip, and then Joe's 19th Hole, and then Finn's, and that leads us all the way up to now. So we've owned it for 10 years.
Did you change the name to Finn's?
Yeah, we changed it to Finn
Who
McCool.
is Finn McCool? Finn McCool is some mythical
Yeah, he's a mythical giant.
Giant?
Yeah,
Oh.
giant. There's loads of legends written about him, you know. He was a fisher. He was a warrior poet for a druid, and the druid knew that
See,
there
they were
was...
the good days when you could be a warrior poet. What happened to that?
Yeah, damn.
Charles, what happened to the warrior poets?
They're still around.
Is that part of Gulf Coast
They're
culture?
the
Exactly,
warrior
yeah.
They're
poets.
teaching,
I
aren't
They're
they?
the warrior
Andrew and
poets.
Alex, you know.
Yeah,
This might be a good point to get onto Gulf Coast culture, do you think?
yeah, definitely.
We've got onto Irish culture.
Yeah.
Now we
Yeah.
need to find... Okay, Charles, take it away. What is Gulf Coast culture?
Gulf Coast culture is the culture that exists in the lowlands of the American South, and then stretches around to Mexico and Cuba. So it's all part of the Gulf Basin
But
culture.
what is the
so-
culture? I mean,
Oh, it's a
are
love.
they native
it's-
people?
Well, I think the people have a lot in common. I mean, it's a love of Mardi Gras, Carnival for one. All the cultures on this area celebrate it. They have a similar food. They're all into beans and rice and peppers. And they like to have fun. They're very different than their upland neighbors, who tend to be kind of more uptight and stodgy.
And close the bar down.
Exactly, they close the bar at 2. People
So
on the
this is
Gulf
a-
Coast
so this is a
keep
Gulf-
it open.
Are you serious? This is the Gulf Coast. We mean
Oh, yeah.
Texas, Alabama, Florida, Louisiana.
Cuba
And
and the
Cuba's
coast of
part
Mexico, yeah, and
Okay.
Yucatan. So yeah,
So we're similar to all these people. We have a similar.
yeah. I call it the Carnival Belt. And Cuba actually outlawed Carnival under the Castro regime, but they still celebrate it, you know. So it's all kind of a Catholic-based culture, and we're united by, again, food and
What about music?
music too. I mean, the habanera beat, which is the dun 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 from Havana, but it's the basis for all Latin and Caribbean music. It infuses New Orleans music. It infuses Mexican music. It infuses Cuban music. So, I mean, we're all united by the love of that particular rhythm.
And that's called the habanera beat,
The habanera, yeah.
named after Pedro
Havana.
Habanera.
Well, no, actually, it's the female. Someone from Havana is a habanera. So,
Okay, that's
Yeah.
so you didn't know that. We've learned a lot here today already.
Yeah.
We still have another 13 minutes. Is it how many minutes? I can't figure that out to go. So there is such a thing as a Gulf Coast culture. You didn't make that up, Gulf
no,
Coast culture.
not at all. No.
Where did we read about that besides your?
Oh gosh, well
PhD
actually
thesis.
I put this all together. I had to present at a conference at LSU, and so I just came up with all the ways we were united as a Gulf Basin culture. So I tried to think of all the things we had in common, and there were a lot. So
So you didn't invent this
No.
this genre of history and whatever it's called. What is that?
well, I
called?
probably did, but
You did. That's what I'm wondering.
Yeah, no, I mean, no one really I know has ever really looked at this idea, but part of the idea was
Well, you're extremely modest.
in the 1800s, New Orleans had a very strong trade connection with Veracruz, Mexico, and Havana, and there was a triangle that connected those 3 cities, so that they were always in contact with each other. So
Where's Veracruz?
Veracruz on the east coast of Mexico, on the Gulf Coast, and so Veracruz has.
Have you been there?
No, I never have actually. I want to go, but.
I'd like to go there too. Do you guys want to go? No.
Yes.
I'd love to.
Yeah.
You want to go? Alex?
Let's go.
But La
Wanna go?
Bamba,
Okay, let's go.
La Bamba, the song, the Mexican
Yes.
song, is from that region of Mexico, and it's considered the region that has kind of the richest African culture in Mexico. So I think that's another kind of connection to New Orleans and Havana. So.
We've got an actual Mexican national right here. Hugo is from Mexico City.
Exactly.
Right?
He's going to play La Bamba,
So
too.
come play La Bamba for us. Hugo, tell us a bit about Veracruz. Hey, look, there is La Bamba. Hugo, come and lean into one of these microphones. You can share my microphone and be my date. Anything?
Yeah.
Really?
Now, there's this rich area. It's called La Huasteca. It means 4 states. There's Veracruz, San Luis, and Tamaulipas. It has 4 geographical. It has desert. It has like rainforest. It has a timberland. It has like a mountain kind of climb. I mean, from 120 degrees index in summertime to 40, 30, you know. I mean, so it's very rich, and all these cultures, they just convex there, and they create different kind of music, you know. It's very similar with all the New Orleans Gulf Coast, you know. That's what he was talking about.
Yeah.
So some of the areas they're just as tropical as New Orleans, you know, like humidity. La Bamba doesn't really mean anything. Mexico has about 300 Indian languages. So in Veracruz, they speak these languages. Still, you know, I'm very Indian looking, but I don't understand any of them. I mean, I'm more like a mestizo for 120 years. So they have all these languages. They still speak with those languages. And La Bamba is more like, you know, some kind of syncretism word from an Indian language, you know.
So it does mean something, but we just don't know what it means.
I think from the
Maybe
translation,
fawn.
Pocky way.
Basically, you know, I love New Orleans, but you know who create fiesta? The Mexicans.
Okay, it all goes back to Mexico.
Thank you.
Okay, Charles, did you know any of that?
I know a little bit about that. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it's a very rich cultural place.
So, but you saying now, I mean, I have to ask you this, like, you know, meet the press or something here. I have to ask you like 10 questions to get you to admit that you invented the concept of Gulf Coast culture.
Well, someone asked me to write on the Gulf Coast circuit of the old days, and then this conference at LSU was looking at the cultural exchanges between the United States and Latin America, and so it just seemed a natural idea for me to try to come up with this idea, because New Orleans is always characterized as the northernmost Caribbean city, right? Which culturally it kind of is, but it's not on the Caribbean; it's on the Gulf, and so you know, the fact that we were connected with Cuba and Mexico for so long, I think it's infused a lot of the culture here. So.
Couldn't you sort of get on a speaking circuit around the Gulf Coast for the rest of your life and go and give this
Probably,
sort
I
of
would love
exciting
to, yeah.
lecture?
Will you be my manager?
I'm rocking here. I can be Alex's manager and your manager. It would seem like you've done something pretty significant, though, academically, to come up with some new theory.
Well, I suppose so. I mean, I haven't really promoted it. I think it's a cool idea, but it's not something I promote heavily. So,
What are you doing more heavily? You taking these rock and NOLA tours?
Rock and NOLA tours, yeah. I'm trying to get that started, and that's my.
That's just starting up?
Yeah, I started a couple months ago. So it's the Music Heritage Tours.
So tell us about it. What happens if I'm coming here from out of town, if I'm listening to this show in another part of the country?
Well, I have a
or the
standard
world?
tour. It's a walking tour through the French Quarter where we cover the roots of jazz. So, you know, everything from Louis Moreau Gottschalk, the great pianist-composer who wrote the Bamboula, which has the habanera beat in it from the 1840s, to the opera venues that are in the French Quarter, to a lot of the old jazz venues along Bourbon Street, as well as Armstrong Park, which has Congo Square. The J&M Music Shop on Rampart Street, and, you know, we go by Cosmo's grocery store and stop by and say hi to the family, and, you know, it's kind of a family affair at the end of the tour. It's funny.
That's pretty cool. So if you don't know, if you're listening from out of town and you don't know, you can actually have a drink in your hand all the way.
You can, yeah, totally, which is a lot of fun.
Or more than one, actually.
Yeah, you know, I'll let people stop and get daiquiris, so, you know, we encourage that. So.
And how did you... Do you have music? I mean, do you listen to music? You have, like, everyone has a Walkman or something? A Walkman. I mean,
Yeah, no,
Big yellow one.
yeah. Have I like an iPhone or something, or some sort of...
well, no, I have an iPod with Bluetooth connected to
Okay.
a Philips shock box, which is like a Jawbone, if you're familiar with a Jawbone. So it's like kind of a mobile speaker.
So you take the music with you. So there's a
Uh-huh,
soundtrack.
yeah. Right, exactly. So as we're walking through, I play music that basically
Yeah.
corresponds to all the sites. So
Nice.
it brings it to life. And then there was
Very cool.
the one time the battery died and I had to sing everything, and that was fun too. So
That is cool.
yeah,
That's a
Get
cool
him
thing.
to sing
Rock
as
and roll.
well.
What's that?
Should sing
We can
mine.
make you do a song. You want to do a song as well?
I'm good. No thanks.
No, thank you. Are you sure?
Yeah.
When are you playing next with the new Leviathan Foxtrot?
Oh gosh, I don't really know. Actually, we're kind of free for the summer. It looks like, but what we're working on is to do performance of the silent movie Beau Jest, where we are going to provide the music to it. And so there's actually an orchestrated, piece to the whole thing. And so we're working on that. So we want to have a big performance where we're going to present Beau Jest. It's a mid-20s silent film, and we're just going to play behind it, the original soundtrack. So.
Wasn't there another version of that? Didn't like Marty Feldman or someone make a weird version of that
Probably.
movie? Do you remember that guy?
No. I know Marty Feldman, but I don't know that Bourget.
With the bug eyes?
Yeah.
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 He was funny. Well, that's a pretty cool idea.
Yeah.
Do that somewhere outside, maybe.
Yeah, exactly. That's what we want to do.
Okay, Alex, you want to play another song for us?
Sure.
What do you think?
Well, we were talking about the new slogan of the city.
If you can't make it here, don't leave.
Yeah. So,
love
you know,
land.
you want to... We set it to music, this is on the new Tin Man record. And here it goes. It's somebody told me you're leaving. You'll be gone by St. Joseph's Day. You're long in the tooth, and you've burned up your youth on 1,001 holidays. Now life is a grand ultimatum. Shape up or ship out, they say. Well, I don't mean to scare you, but you'd better beware when you're finally on your way. 'Cause if you can't make it here, if you can't make it here, if you can't make it here, you better not leave. I'm gonna have a drink of water now.
Okay.
Love
'Cause Chicago broke both my shoulders, and Detroit's a sweet piece of ass, and Cleveland's a case nearly up to my waist, and she's growing up way too fast, and Vegas is freezing and empty, and Frisco's dour and prim, and Portland's a pain, never gets any rain, and your chances are gonna be slim. 'Cause if you can't make it here, if you can't make it here, if you can't make it here, you better not leave. If you can't take it there, well, you won't have a prayer. If you can't make it here, you better not leave. 'Cause Memphis will eat you for breakfast, but Nashville will have you for lunch. And where Philly's concerned, well, that's no place to learn that you really just can't take a punch. And Boston's all puppies and rainbows, and Baltimore's nice to the nice, and New York just won't stay on your fork as easy as your red beans and rice. So if you can't make it here, if you can't make it here, if you can't make it here, you better not leave. Come on, everybody sing it with me. Come on. Come on. Come on. If you can't make it here, if you can't make it here, if you can't make it here,
can't think of a better note to leave on than that.
exactly
That was happy hour for
Let's
today.
all go to Finn McCool.
Oh my God! Okay, Alex McMurray, thank you so much. That was awesome.
It was great to be here.
We can find you all around town.
All around.
Links to all your gigs are on our website. It's neworleans.com. Pauline Patterson from Finn McCool, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Best neighborhood bar in New Orleans, voted by New Orleanians. And the principal of Rock and NOLA Tours, apart from Casa Borrega, of course. Best soccer bar in New Orleans. And Charles Chamberlain from Rock and NOLA Tours. We can find out all about you on our website as well. Thank you so much for joining us. And, of course, Andrew Duhon. As always, that's Happy Hour.
Thank you.
For today, here from Casa Borrega, our producers of the show are Graham DePonte and Trish Kaufman. Our associate producer and technical director is Chris Kehoe. Christian Unruh is our music director. And Dr. Cliff Brigden is our web designer and link to the real world. Mitch Foreman wrote and is playing the piano theme you can hear right now. The fabulous audio quality of this show is brought to you in part by PreSonus Audio Electronics. PreSonus makes some of the best audio recording and live sound products, including Studio One music production software, Studio Live digital mixing consoles, Era Studio monitors, and much more. You can visit presonus.com for more information about that. If you'd like to be on this show, and you can stay upright and sit around a table for about an hour with a drink in your hand, drop us a line. Our address is on our website. You can check out our other happy hours there as well as other shows. Out to Lunch with Peter Aschuti, which is live from Commander's Palace. Mindset with psychiatrist Dr. Nick Pajic. True to the Game with the fabulous Chris True and Tammy Nelson. Win-Win, our show about the New Orleans Vietnamese community. And Midnight Menu +1 with Margot Moss and the man who ate New Orleans, Ray Canada. You can keep up with us by liking It's New Orleans on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter. Sign up for our mailing list and much more at our website, itsneworleans.com. If you happen to be listening to the show on iTunes or Stitcher, thanks for subscribing and take a moment to rate and review us. That helps other people find us. Our show is recorded live today at Casa Borrega, which you can follow on Facebook and like on Twitter, or like on Facebook and follow on Twitter, probably more accurately. It's a new bar, it's a restaurant, and it's a live music venue yet to be open, but it's on Aretha Castle Haley Boulevard, just one block up from Cafe Reconcile on Central City. Happy Hours, a production of INO Broadcasting for itsneworleans.com. For Andrew Duhon, Mitch Foreman, who's playing the piano, everybody back at the INO office and sitting around here at the table at Casa Borrega, I'm Grant Morris. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time on Happy Hour.
Pros, for the supplies you use most, start with Lowe's, because Lowe's stocks the right quantities you need for any size job, like treated lumber, fencing, and decking. Load up on savings when you buy in bulk and get up to 30% off select 80-pound bags of Quick Read or Sack Read. Plus, get 5% off eligible purchases every day with your Lowe's Business Credit account. For other great benefits Lowe's offers pros, stop by and talk to your dedicated pro team today. Do it right for less. Start with Lowe's. Subject to credit approval, can't be combined with other credit offers. Exclusions apply. See store for details. U.S. only.